Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Yesterday was April Fool's Day. I was really close to putting out a video for April Fool's, but I didn't have a good idea for it until today, so I'm kind of shit out of luck there. I'll probably do one next year. But yes, yesterday was April Fool's Day, and if you've been with Guild Wars for any length of time, you'll know that ArenaNet usually does cool stuff around April Fool's. They always used to put out kind of funny patch notes, like fake patch notes that would have just hilarious and terrible decisions made in them, which sadly they didn't do this year, funnily enough. But they also used to do small little things, like they change the gender of your character on April Fool's Day, or turn you into a mini pet and turn your mini pets into real people-sized entities, which were really cool, nice little touches. And as I say, if you've been with a franchise for a long time, you probably would have expected something cool to happen with April Fool's Day this year too. Well, they did a bit more than what they used to do. What happened this April Fool's Day is what you're seeing on screen right now. Yeah, I'm playing Guild Wars 2. This is Guild Wars 2. This is unbelievable, and I really wanted to do a video on it just to show you guys that maybe have been a little bit off the loop recently, the kind of stuff that ArenaNet have been putting in the game. This is just another of many free updates they put out, and this is for April Fool's Day. It's still available now, even though it's not April Fool's Day anymore. I think it will be available for about a week, but basically they've created what I can only describe as an 8-bit jumping puzzle-ish themed adventure called the Super Adventure Box. Okay, it's really kind of hard to define. But it's this huge adventure. Not the entire thing has been released just yet. Just one world of 4 so far. And it's incredible. It's not just a jumping puzzle. First, I should explain that. This is a game within a game. Yes, we're playing Guild Wars 2, but the mechanics and the experience of playing the Super Adventure Box is completely different to anything you would have experienced in Guild Wars 2. All you really have to do is look on screen right now at my user interface. Look at my skills. I have no skills that you would recognize. Look at my health. My health is completely different. Look at my dodge bar. It's all totally different. In fact, the only thing that really makes this feel like Guild Wars 2 is the fact we can dodge in the same way as in vanilla Guild Wars 2. So do treat this as a completely different experience. I wouldn't want to put anyone off thinking that this was just some kind of glorified jumping puzzle, because it is much more than that. The video you're watching in the background, I'm actually doing a speed run. That's why there's a little timer on there that usually wouldn't be there. It's not like a racing game or anything. I'm doing a speed run of it, and because I'm doing a speed run, I'm about to basically trivialize all of the content for you guys. I'm going to make it look like it's really short, and I'm going to make it look like it's 99% jumping around. But that's not true at all. The reason why this feels a lot more like a game within a game is because it's including a lot of RPG mechanics that you'll be more than familiar with if you'd played games like Zelda, for example. It seems to borrow really heavily from Zelda in a lot of different places. So as you can see, it's like I say, my health bar is completely different. You'll notice that I've got 2 heart icons that are still locked. Presumably, when more of the Super Adventure Box is released and we can travel to more worlds, we'll unlock the ability to get those extra hearts. Also, on my skill bar, as you progress through this game, you can acquire currency. That's what these blue orbs are. These baubles, you can acquire currency that allow you to buy and unlock new abilities, like throwing bombs, or like a whip, or like a shovel that lets you dig for treasure. And none of that has anything to do with jumping. It's also not very linear. Again, because this is a speedrun, it's going to look linear, but it's not really that linear. See, to get all of that stuff, you need to spend your baubles. And you do that in shops. There are shops littered all around the place. So you're going to spend your time killing monsters, getting this currency. You don't have to grind by any means. I wouldn't want to make it sound like that. But then you can visit these shops, and you can speak to the shopkeepers there, and you can trash their stuff and break all of their things like you would in old Zelda games. And they'll cry about it with some pretty hilarious dialogue. And then you can spend your money at those shops to buy these different icons. And different shops sell different things. As you travel through different worlds, you'll need different items to actually tackle the challenges that the game's going to start throwing at you. So it really is completely a totally fresh experience, a finely tuned game within a game. As you can see there, on just before the loading screens, after you complete each section of a world, you'll actually see that you progress forward on basically kind of a fake overworld. If I were to press M, if you press M while you're actually in the game, you'll see that you're kind of very cleverly located on a really weird looking map that represents the overworld. It really is just totally different. From that map, you can see that there's an awful lot of content left to come. There are actually 4 worlds that the devs are kind of hoping to add to this. As far as we can see so far, they might even add even further beyond that if it's really well received. But right now, there's only 1 world that we can fully play. That's what you can see me doing right now. I thought it'd be interesting to try and speed run it all, because it is kind of hard. If you dilly-dally about, shall we say, for too long, you really start risking running out of lives. As you can see there, again, on my user interface, there's a new mechanic mechanic here. You can run out of lives, and when you do run out, you're going to get kicked out of the super adventure box, and you'll basically have to restart the level, which is very cool. But if you hang about for too long, it can get harder and harder. I wanted to see how quickly I can complete this, which isn't something many people have actually been doing. There has been a lot of speed running going on, but mainly that's people trying to get these baubles. You see, I just explained that you can spend the baubles in the super adventure box to get new upgrades, but you do eventually get all of them. And when you reach that point, you can spend the baubles beyond there, should you wish, to actually get stuff for your normal character in regular old Tyria. There's some really cool new weapon skins that they've added to the game, and everybody's going basically cuckoo for them at the moment. So there's been a lot of kind of speed running of it, sort of, where people have been trying to get those upgrades, which takes a little while to go. I think the greatsword's selling, I think it's well over 20 gold still at the moment of me recording this, so there's a reasonable amount of money to be earned in the Super Adventure Box too, which has made it quite popular with people, even if they're not that interested in the gameplay that it presents itself. But what you could see me doing isn't a speed run for money. I don't get many baubles with this. I just simply want to see how quickly I can complete it. And at the end of the day, this will be a nice way, I thought, to do a video as well, because it shows at least a small section and a decent cross-section of the content that's here. It shows you 3 different zones of the first world. So I should explain as well. There's 4 worlds that they're hoping to add eventually, as far as we can see, with more in the future perhaps. And each world is split into 3 zones. You're currently seeing me in zone 2. Actually, I'm at the end of zone 2. At the end of each zone, as you can see, there's a big boss fight with the big bad guy that we're fighting here. Like, the characters are so ridiculous. Like, it's got a whole storyline of its own. There's Princess, I think her name is Princess Mia, and there's also this guy that you meet at the start called Moto, so they're Mia Moto. And then there's like this crazy guy here. When you die, it shows like an effect that reminds me a lot of dying in Super Mario 64, where Bowser comes up, it does his silhouette. There's just a million references to different things. But each zone, ends with a boss fight like this, and World 1 at least has got 3 zones. We don't know how many zones necessarily are in future worlds. But yeah, so what you're seeing me do here is a speed run of World 1, so hopefully I'll get to show you guys all the different stuff. You start off World 1 in a nice plains looking area. It's very nice and fresh, and I kind of get through that very quickly because it's not very linear. There's lots of secret areas and small things to be found around there that obviously I just skip past. This level, Zone 2 as well, is massive. Honestly, it's huge. But you can skip a lot of it through that secret shortcut where you go through the worm that you saw me do earlier. There's actually an achievement for doing that. In fact, there's tons of achievements in the Super Adventure Box. If all you really care about are skins and stuff and things that you can get for your regular character in the overworld, then they've got you covered there too. As I say, you can buy various skins for completing this, but there's also a load of new achievements. There's even an entire achievement category, and you get a title when you complete all of them that are available right now, which even though I'm doing this, and this took me hours and hours and hours to prepare for this speed run, I still haven't got all of them because there's just so many secrets and hidden things. Areas where you have to throw bombs at walls to see what's behind them, and it's just pure pot luck whether you can get in there and find a secret cavern behind a waterfall or something. There's tons of stuff to do. And they're actually pretty good with rewarding you as well. The recent update with the titles appearing underneath your names, that's really done a lot. And I'm really looking forward to getting my title for completing this. So, yeah, they reward you quite nicely for doing it. And as I say, so far there's only 1 world out of 4 that have been released. There has been a lot of talk. I'm not actually 100% sure how long this is going to be in game. There's been a lot of talk, though, about people wanting this to become a permanent fixture of Guild Wars 2 and not like some kind of special event thing that only comes back every now and then when there's some new worlds to play. If you are in support of that idea, if you've played it yourself already or you're watching this video, you go off play it and you enjoy it, do go drop your support off. I know that there's a big Reddit thread which I'm going to link to in the description because I really do want this to become a big permanent part of Guild Wars 2. If you ask me, this is exactly the kind of thing that I was hoping for in terms of activities for the game, which was an old feature that they'd announced that still hasn't really come into its own. This is exactly what I was hoping for in terms of that, and a million times more. There's just so much here. It would be a real shame, in my opinion, to have this lost, and so far a lot of people seem to really be enjoying it and what ArenaNet have given us. So yeah, as I say, do go drop your support if you're in favour of keeping this about, because it might not otherwise. It's a really cool story actually about how this even ended up being a thing. It sounds like one of the devs that worked on some of the cooler jumping puzzles, like the Mad King's Clock Tower, for example, a lot of the harder jumping puzzles. A long time ago, though, he'd basically been mentioning, oh, I've been working on something in the background, I've been working on a really hard one that we just hadn't seen, and then it ended up becoming so much more than a jumping puzzle. An entire team at ArenaNet ended up working on it until we have what we now see here, the Super Adventure Box. This thing's got, as you can see, totally different enemies. There's a totally different soundtrack. They just really went above and beyond. There's even a really cool, corny 80s video game commercial that they released, which if you're subscribed to Guild Wars 2 ArenaNet on YouTube, you'll see already. I think it's a damn shame that their YouTube channel doesn't have more people subbing to it, to be perfectly honest, so I'll plug them there as well. But yeah, so they did an all-lot for it, and so far it's been an absolute blast. As I mentioned, the dev that was kind of responsible for starting this made some of the harder jumping puzzles. A big feature, I think, of this, initially at least, was going to be that it was going to have like different difficulty levels. Right now, I think there is an easy mode, sort of, on it already, so if you're kind of naff at jumping puzzles, it should help you out a lot there anyway. But I think also in the future there's a possibility of a hard mode coming, which would be very cool to see. So yeah, lots more planned with it, lots more to come, hopefully, as long as we're kind of all in support of it. Anyway, I'm kind of coming up to the end of my run now. As you can see, I'm 8 minutes in-ish. And we're at the end of Zone 3 here. I feel like maybe I should have just commentated on exactly what I was doing for the run this entire video, because this was very hard to pull off. I don't know how easy it's gonna look or how easy the footage makes it look, but what I was doing in this run was very, very difficult. And what I'd quite like to see is somebody to beat my score, because as I say, not everybody's doing speedruns like this, and I'd like to see how quickly someone else can beat me. So I thought, why not make a bit of a competition out of this? I'm gonna give 50 Ectos. Okay, I would give you one of the new skins, but I haven't earned any yet, so and I'll probably want them for myself. So I will give the winner 50 Ectos for anybody who can beat my time doing this. Now, here are the rules. You cannot die, as you'll notice through this run. I didn't die once. You cannot die. If you lose health in one zone, then that health loss has to carry through to a second zone. But having said that, you can do it in different takes if you want. Like I did Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3 in different takes for myself, but my health always carried over. So you have to do it in that way, and you have to beat all of the bosses and cages and things using bombs or the auto attack, because I think you might be able to do it a lot quicker with the catapult, but I just didn't try it, so that's off of the table for now, so that nobody has like a super unfair advantage. And anybody that can beat me and show me a better time by like uploading a video and just send me a personal message with it, whoever beats me by the widest margin by this time next week, so that would be Wednesday of next week, whoever's beat me by the widest margin can win the Ectos. I think that would be kind of a fun thing to do, so go nuts, guys. Those are the only rules, and feel free to pause the clock once you finish the zone. As soon as that yellow message comes up saying that the zone's complete, you can pause the clock until the end of the loading screen for the next level, and then you can continue on. So those are kind of the rules of the competition. As you can see here now, now that I've kind of completed the first world, we get a bonus level. So it seems like they're deciding that after each world you get a really significant boss fight, in this case that giant toad guy, which reminds me a lot of Pandemonium. Did anybody ever play Pandemonium? There was like a boss fight with like a giant toad in the first game of that. That reminds me of this so much, even though mechanically it's totally different. Anyway, at the end of the world, it seems you get a big boss fight and then a bonus round. They've got infrastructure here for bonus rounds. This is the only bonus round in the game at the moment, which is destroying this cart. I should explain to you guys, despite the fact that for this video and for the competition it's a solo thing, you can play the Super Adventure Box with 5 people. It's exactly the same as like any other dungeon in Guild Wars 2. You can play it with 4 of your friends. You can have 5 guys go through all at once, and it will scale stuff. Like there's hidden chests that you need keys to open, and if you've got 5 players, then you need 5 keys, and you all need to come together. And every time you hit a checkpoint, people go like flying up in the air, and if you've got a full team, it just looks amazing to have everybody go flying all over the place before you progress forward. It's fully compatible for like cooperative play, and they've done it really well. Because this is a very retro style game, and a big kick to it obviously is kind of the nostalgia of old game mechanics and things, it could have been a disaster in terms of being a co-op game. After all, Guild Wars 2 is an MMO, and I feel like they were probably obligated at least to put some kind of multiplayer functionality into it. But honestly, they did really well. It could have been a minefield. It honestly could have. Like large, sprawling platforming levels where it's easy to miss out on rewards, and it's boring and frustrating having to wait for your friends to catch up to you after they can't make a simple jump that you did like half an hour ago. You know, these are all things that really could have ruined the experience. But speaking of bad jumps, I'm about to come to a really bad jump I can't do after that speed run there. But despite that, they really ironed it out really well, and it's a pleasure to play with a bunch of other people. Particularly if you want some of the achievements to get all of the secrets and find all the hidden rooms and things, it's a good idea to have multiple people around because they might spot one bauble that you'd otherwise miss. And generally, it's a great experience. So there you go, guys. That's my coverage on the Super Adventure Box so far as it is. That's my idea for a little competition as well. I'd like to see if anybody does want to try and beat my time there. 9 minutes 1 second for the first world, which, trust me, this took me, like, if you're going through for all the achievements, it's at least 5 hours worth of content if you're reading a guide to find out where everything is, which in my opinion you shouldn't do. I don't think you should read a guide, not your first time through, because it takes something away from the experience. It's so heavily steeped in old school philosophy that you kind of ruin it all, I think, if you just find out, oh, there's a hidden place behind this waterfall, and oh, this is how we do this and this and this. So at least try and go through it blind for a little while, I guess, guys, and then if you do want all the achievements like I do and everything, then go through all of your guides and so forth. But yeah, there you go, guys. This is the Super Adventure Box. What do you think? Did anybody dislike it? I haven't met anybody that disliked this so far. Even people that don't like, you know, jumping puzzles and platforming is a large component of this, nobody's really complaining. How can you complain about this? I would like to hear any legitimate complaints that anybody's had, though, about it, and also all your good stories as well. So there you go, guys. The Super Adventure Box. If you are interested in the competition, as I say, you've got 1 week to beat my time. 9 minutes 1 second. This is how I did it. You have an advantage because you can see how I've already completed all of this stuff. You can see the routes that I took. And the rules are that it has to be a solo run. You have to use auto attacks or the bombs to beat the bosses, and you cannot die. So be careful about when you get hit. You'll notice I didn't get hit once in World 1 or 2. You might want to try and do the same. But anyway, there we go, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time.